Hello friends, my name is Volantis, and have you ever played a game and thought to yourself, you know, what this needs is more save file reloading. The more reloading, the better. If you said yes, then this is the challenge for you. If you have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, then stick around, you'll find out soon enough. The challenge in question, can I beat the Resident Evil 4 remake with only shotguns? The short answer is no. Sometimes you don't have the choice to try using anything else, like Del Lago, a minecart, the Krauser knife fight, etc. But for my challenge, any parts where I don't have the option to use the shotgun won't count against me. Let's establish the rules. Shotguns are the only means of combat allowed. No melee attacks, except for the break free prompt, since that does no damage as far as I know. No knives, not to parry attacks, not to fight off enemies, and not to open crates. No environmental weaponry, like cannons or the lava pit, for example. Hazards like tripwires, dynamite, or explosive barrels are allowed, however, as long as the enemy triggers them. I can shoot red barrels if they block the path or hide an item, just as long as I'm not damaging an enemy at the same time. If enemies kill each other or get killed by an ally of mine, that's allowed, because, well, it's not my fault. I can only use a shotgun or the box break action to open item containers. Glitching is not allowed unless it's the only way around failing the challenge, but if it comes to that, I'll let you know. Finally, I'll be starting a new game on professional difficulty. Usually I do hard mode in my challenges, but I'm caving to peer pressure today because the vast majority of RE4 challenges online are done on professional. I would come to very much regret making this decision. With all the boring stuff out of the way, let's begin. My homeboys give me the presidential treatment down this back road of disease and despair. They even offered me a little something to take the edge off, but I can't consume such garbage. Gotta stay in shape if I meet a beautiful Spanish man, you know? My good buddy Mario went to let off some steam at the porcelain throne, but he is taking a suspiciously long time even for the average man. Glasses is worried that maybe he got swallowed up by whatever horrific 18th century contraption he laid his bare cheeks upon.
Did he fall in?
So I set out to investigate. I employ the tried and true American strategy of barge in first, ask questions later, and find a rather unpleasant smelling gentleman cooking a rather unpleasant smelling pot of gruel. He wants my bones to finish making his dinner, but I employ the other part of the American strategy called kill on sight. I decide this place isn't scary enough already and opt to check out the dank, smelly basement, where I find Mario has unfortunately shot himself to death. IBS gang, rise up. I start heading back to regroup with Glasses, but I'm cornered by Stinky McSoupy. He began violating me, and I accidentally shanked him. Whoops. Okay, so my only options are to either fight him off with my bare hands or juke him out. I figured option B was better since I could preserve my health in the process. I know it is possible to dodge Soupy sales, but damn, I sure couldn't. He grabbed my man meat every time I tried to give him the slip, and for some reason I couldn't complete the break free prompt before he lobotomized me. That is, until the 5th attempt. I just managed to do it that time, and I don't know why. But even after doing my best Kane impression, I was left with a ruptured spleen, several broken ribs, and lots of internal bleeding. I can tell you that this entire chapter was a lot more of what I just went through. I mean, I didn't die during the rest of it, but it was like 99% running away from things after getting assaulted. I figured just dodging everybody in the village and running out the timer was the best option. Despite not even going for the shotgun at first, a dangerous threat still joined the party. The chainsaw guy with bloodshot eyes, Dr. Salvador. Luckily, I was too quick for him. Not once was I in any danger of being sawed in half. Even after getting grabbed by the villagers a couple times, bringing me once again to the brink of death, the bingo bell rang immediately after and I was safe. Oof, ow, my bones. Anyhoozles, I limped around the village and grabbed everything, including the shotgun, before heading into the farm. I put as much distance between myself and the brute as I could, but there's something supremely terrifying about seeing a bull mask wearing thick boy charge at you, ready to cave in your skull like he's Alric the Barbarian King. I used the remainder of what little ammo I had navigating the lakeside houses, where I climbed down into a moist, smelly hole to find a handsome Spaniard chilling in a sleeping bag. Suddenly, a gargantuan cheese man does his best impression of Kane and chokeslams me into oblivion. I awake from a pretty sick nightmare to find myself chained to the handsome Spanish fella I just met. Whew, it's It's getting kinda hot in here, huh? The smelly bastards have taken my gear. It took a few tries to avoid getting axed to death, but I managed to reacquire my shotgun. I then proceeded to evaporate their brains and collect all the items in the area. This is where I meet the world's greatest salesman, the masked wonder from down under, the merchant. We exchange pleasantries before I head into the valley for what I expect to be a thorough ass beating.
Oh no!
Okay, well, aside from being reduced to pure strawberry mist, I did make it out relatively painlessly. It's still just a lot of running past enemies right now, and only shooting the ones standing in my way. But I did grab a decent amount of loot in the process. I grabbed the insignia key in Mendez's house before the cheesy behemoth himself tries to have his way with me.
Oh yeah, daddy.
First things first, we gotta save the doggo. No self-respecting player just leaves him there to die like a monster. I evaporated the rats in the factory so I could trade spinels for a yellow diamond to sell the elegant mask. I'll probably be limited on which requests I can do, so I might as well complete what I can. I made it to the church, which of course is locked up tight. Couldn't Leon just shoot out a window or something? Plot convenience, am I right? Anyway, I used up the few shots I had crossing the bridge and the quarry to reach the merchant. I hope I can start stocking up on ammo somehow soon, cause running away like a pussy kinda sucks. This run would be significantly easier by now if the merchant would actually be helpful and sell me some shotgun shells. Listen to me, you upside down little shit. I have the money, and clearly you have the ammo. Now sell me the goods.
No.
The shooting range is open, but there's no shotgun game yet to earn some charms. Ass! Looks like we're doing the fish farm the hard way, boys. Shooting every swamp creature here is non-optional. Running and grabbing the gas tank isn't really difficult, the issue is getting back out with it. Too often I had a train ran on me during my attempted escape. It reminded me a lot of my time in the high school locker room. But after a few lengthy tries, I got lucky with the ammo drops to keep a good defense. I even grabbed the gas can without alerting the hammer-swinging beefcake. This was so helpful that not only did I make it out alive, I even snagged the hexagon piece and small key in the process. Dyalla is the only thing left in this chapter. You don't have the option to use guns against him, you have to use the harpoons. So I stabbed him to death mercilessly, just as I would any other time. Before we dive into Chapter 4 and the increasing difficulty curve ahead, I want to take a moment and describe the strategy I developed over the course of the run, as well as what I learned about how item drops work. Generally, the game is supposed to prioritize items within crates and barrels and other containers to be things that you need or can make use of, with a higher chance for things you're low on. Generally. Ammo, for example, is more likely to drop for the guns you carry in your inventory, as long as you don't have too much of it already. Pesetas, however, are very frequent drops, regardless of how much money you have. There is one glaring problem with this drop rate system for this challenge, though. I can't tell the game that I'm not using knives or grenades or other guns, so it assumes I still have those as an option and will still drop them. That becomes problematic when I need to be stocked up on shotgun shells for a difficult section. Now, with this being professional mode, there are no autosaves, so I employed a strategy some people call save scumming. Basically, you save frequently to prevent loss of progress. Some people really dislike save scumming, but I wasn't about to do significant portions of the game over again if I had bad item luck. So this strategy is what carried me throughout the game. I would often use it to retry areas if I did poorly, allowing me to save ammo, take less damage, and make tiny bits of progress at a time. But where it really mattered was for item rerolling. Most containers are dynamic, meaning they can be different items every time. If I need particular things, I can repeatedly reload a save and recheck a container until I get what I want or need. Primarily I was trying for shotgun shells or the crafting materials to make them. The downside to farming any item though is that the more you collect, the less likely you are to get more, generally. Shotgun shells are particularly tedious to collect because once you reach a certain amount in your inventory, the game decides you don't really need any more. And at that point it would only drop 2 shells instead of 3. At least that's how it went for me. Some containers have multiple items in them. Those required even more resets because I'd have to get lucky with multiple things I needed dropping at the same time, which was incredibly unlikely to happen. But keep in mind as I tell you about my experience throughout the run that I slowly learned all of this as I went. I noticed the dynamic item thing within the first half of the game, but I didn't think to start relying on item rerolling until chapter 10, as I assumed playing the game as intended would just provide me with the ammo I needed. How wrong I was. You'll see going forward that I didn't do much item rerolling at all until the latter half of the castle. Bosses are more densely packed into the back half of the game, hence why I started rerolling a lot then. I was going to need lots of shotgun shells to remain prepared at all times. But I think that concludes today's lesson. We'll dive deeper into each section as needed, so for now, back to the actual run. And yes, there will be a quiz at the end to assess how much you paid attention. The bulk of Chapter 4 isn't too bad. There's lots of safe looting I can do, and the 2 enemy-filled areas weren't too troublesome. I was able to get every single treasure, including the sneaky rhino beetle. So we'll focus on what is far and away the hardest part so far, El Gigante. Oh boy, where do I even begin? I had to reach deep into the recesses of my prefrontal cortex to try and solve this dilemma. How do I beat a boss with such a pitiful amount of ammo? Well, I threw myself into the fight just to see how it would go. I learned very quickly that if I don't have at least about half health, then he munches my head like a grape if he grabs me, which happened a lot. After a few failed attempts, I decided to do a little research. I found a Reddit post that thoroughly details enemy HP and how much damage they take. Thank you to Drunken Gaming for the comprehensive list. Very cool. According to that post, Gigante starts with 26,000 HP. Once he drops to about 18,000, Doggy appears. Get him down to 11,500 and the dog will nibble his ankles, where Gigante's health will set to 10,400. I'm on console though, so I can't just use a mod to see how much HP he has, so these indicators were how I judged if the fight was going well. The strategy should be obvious. Blast his face, then blast the Plaga, rinse and repeat until dead. On a few occasions, I did get far enough for the dog bite cutscene to trigger, but I still didn't have enough shots to finish him off. This was an exhaustive, repetitive battle of failure after failure. 41 attempts, and at no point was I on the cusp of victory. I just didn't have the ammo to do it, even with the often generous item drops inside the 2 shacks. I then had a thought. I was curious if the exclusive upgrade, which doubles the W870's power, would be enough to win the fight. I can't afford the upgrade with pesetas, unfortunately, but I did buy a DLC pack of tickets. That is of course off limits for the challenge, but I'm just seeing if it's possible. With another 18 attempts, I made a barely even noticeable amount of progress. I did do better, technically speaking, just enough to have a newfound sense of hope, only for it to be immediately crushed before my eyes. But sadly, I was convinced that even with double power, the shotgun alone was not going to win. Sure, the fight is doable shotgun only, if you have enough ammo, which I clearly did not. Unless I want to redo a very large portion of the game, which stupidly at the time I did not want to do, I'm just not going to have the firepower to defeat Gigante this way. I would have absolutely redone the entire chapter though if I had any idea how much I'd be reloading parts of the game later. So what did I do? I had to use the knife. I'm a failure, alright. A fraud. A big fat phony. I could not beat Gigante, shotgun only. Just so it's clear, my shotgun doesn't have the exclusive upgrade anymore. But with the damage fully maxed on my shotgun and combat knife, it took an additional 11 tries to finally void his lifetime warranty. 70 goddamn attempts, and over 6 fucking hours in this chapter, just to take the loss on the challenge 1/4 of the way into the game. Well, sort of. I wasn't ready to accept defeat, but I won't go into that just yet. You'll have to wait until the rest of the run is over to see what I mean. I find Ashley, or as I call her, White Crayon, and we begin our harrowing escape. Reaching the cabin beyond the farm was a bit slow, but was a cakewalk compared to the migraine I just endured. We stealthed our way to grab the village treasure, then took a detour up to the chief's house to raid it for goodies. This spawns the Lucifer puppy to appear in the village, but again, stealth got us past everyone and into the farm, where I had a few beers with the merchant to prep for the cabin fight. While it is annoying to get right near the end of this fight just to die suddenly, it only took me a surprisingly low 4 tries. The strat that really helped was to, of course, start by blocking the windows. That way I'm not overrun by a dozen enemies right at the start. Once those rat bastards started infiltrating my funhouse, I laid down the law with a shotgun blast to their faces. Mostly what I did was trail them upstairs, then hop down the ladder right before they tried to mutilate my delicate boy ass. Run around a bit to gather them back downstairs, then climb the ladder again, rinse and repeat. I was mostly invulnerable once I started up the ladder. Mostly. But this helped reserve my shots for when the Ganados grouped together or blocked my way, and then ultimately to fight off the big beefy boy. I was insanely close to getting my shit rocked right at the end, but I pulled the most perfectly timed dodge out of my ass, then turned him into ground beef to finish the fight. Chapter 6's only redeeming quality whatsoever is that the riot gun is available now, so I traded up and put in a bunch of upgrades. Ashley, the useless fuck, made the first part of the Ganado camp much harder than it had any right to be. With enough enemies in this narrow valley to rival the population of Los Angeles, it goes without saying that I did not have an excess of shotgun shells to blast through them all. Between Ashley refusing to run from anything, getting lit on fire, jumping into a bear trap, and the Plagas having more accuracy than my own gun, it goes without saying that this took a while. I noticed that the Ganados don't like chasing you back through the entrance gate, so what I was able to do was pick off a few of the more troublesome enemies, retreat through the gate, then sneak back in and grab some stuff and take out an enemy or two. Eventually I got through this part and into another nightmare. What lies ahead was enough to make a grown man cry. In the bad way. The Chainsaw Sisters, or Bella Sisters, believe it or not, aren't hard to avoid. The issue is the 4,000 other Ganados. In theory, I could kill the one holding the crank, then hurry and open the door, and bada boom, area passed. If only. It does not matter where you trail a Ganado to, they'll catch you before Leon can finish cranking his hog. But fortunately, the chainsaw ladies are a teeny bit slower, so I should be able to open the door if they're alone. So I have to defeat most, if not all, of the regular Ganados, kill the Bella sister with the crank, then haul ass to the door. The big flaw is, as you have seen so far, I don't have enough ammo to kill all the Ganados and at least one of the Bellas. But if you stay close to Bella and trigger an attack, sometimes she'll hit and kill a Ganado right next to her. It's pretty tricky and takes a long time, but eventually I got some lucky item drops this way. After 17 long attempts, I got the enemy count to a low enough number that Bella was the only one aggroing on me. So I got the door cranked and got Dum-Dum out of there, but I am in rough shape. Incel Nacho Libre appears out of nowhere and we need to make our escape.
Ashley! This way!
No. No! I have to fight the Chainsaw Twins again. Please don't make me do this again. Alright, 13 more attempts later, and admittedly in much better condition than the first time, I got past the Chainsaw Lady. This time I ran past the village trash and evaded Nacho's grimy hands of death. I chit-chat with the merchant a bit and prepare for a fight that I have been apprehensive about since starting the run. Chuckles the Cheddar Man bursts through the wall, and Leon, like a dumbass, lights the barn on fire. He's not literal cheese, you dumb shit. You want to take a guess at how many tries it took to beat Mendez? If Gigante took 70, then surely Mendez took many more, right? 80? 90? 100? No. 4. I know, I've never heard a number so incomprehensibly large before. The shotgun does so much more damage to him than I expected it to. The only reason I didn't beat him sooner was because I needed the luck of finding both gunpowder and a small resource to have enough ammo. Shredding his cheesy ass apart was actually kind of a breeze. Alright, I think I've met my quota of cheese jokes. Is that good enough for you? With the storm subsided and no enemies in sight, we decide to wander into the castle grounds instead of waiting on the bridge for a rescue chopper. Solid plan, Leon. That's why you're the brains of the operation. I get acquainted with a cute new enemy and find myself in a war zone of death and despair. I knew immediately that I needed to use the catapults to my advantage. I needed to bait zealots into the drop zones to kill them, thereby getting free resources and reserving shots for when they grab Ashley. After 10 painful experiences of Ashley forgetting how to behave like a human being, I got the door blasted open, collected all the items in the vicinity, and made it inside the castle.
A most warm welcome to my castle.
Oh my god, what is that?
Finally make your acquaintance.
Oh my god! What is that?
I wouldn't have even mentioned this little skirmish here, but just look. I got killed so perfectly. Like, I can't even be mad about that. Anyway, this wasn't too bad, and the Garrador only took 3 tries. So let's move ahead to everyone's favorite onslaught of horror, Waterhall. I would rather do Gigante again with only the knife than do Waterhall again. Fuck this part, and fuck everyone who designed it. How dare they not make it easy to do with only one weapon that has terrible long-range damage and accuracy. This section is unbearable. On top of the amount of zealots, a lot of them use crossbows, and a few others turn into a chain chomp, so that's cool. Obviously, I don't have enough ammo to kill every single one, so for a long time I tried only killing what got in my way and running past everything else. But every enemy I avoided put Ashley at a higher risk of getting caught, which was basically a death sentence. It would require me to use more ammo to free her and would slow me down to get attacked by others. Between Ashley getting nabbed, poor resource luck, and getting gangbanged by archers, I just could not get past this section. I did eventually get Ashley to the upper level with the 2 wheels, but if a zealot comes within a quarter mile of her vicinity, she refuses to move, like a stupid dumb asshole. With my pitifully small amount of ammo resulting in 39 failed attempts, I decided to try an experiment. Yay, science. I backtracked outside to the catapult area to look for items and found that there are 4 zealots out there, and conveniently I can bait them into dying fairly easily using the catapults. I repeated this over and over again to see if what they dropped was of any use, and after exactly 100 zealot kills, this is the rate of resource drops I ended up with. Various amounts of pesetas were dropped 82% of the time. Gunpowder was dropped 10%, a green herb 4%, a ruby 3%, and 1 single drop was handgun ammo. Absolutely 0 large or small resources or shotgun shells. I tried a handful more times with some variations to my inventory, but it didn't make enough of a difference to keep trying. Eventually, I gave up on this endeavor and just decided to completely redo Waterhall from the start. I was gonna have to just suck it up and get good, as the kids say. After 18 attempts, I got the stairs lowered, nearly all items grabbed, and made another save point so that all I'd have to do is run to Ashley's part and then hopefully get the hell out of there. Once Ashley turns the first wheel, more zealots will appear and come for my schmeat. Dodging a mace swinger, axe thrower, and at least 2 archers is incredibly annoying. Plus, all I have healing-wise is 1 green herb, so I need to get lucky with quick kills. The initial strategy went like this: hoof it straight upstairs and hope the archers miss. Raise the first platform, then boost Ashley up. Kill the closest zealot to her so she has enough time to raise the second platform. Then let her get grabbed and carried across the bridge. This was the mistake, because now I had to blast tons of zealots in her way and avoid or kill a ton of enemies near me as well. A few times I accidentally killed Ashley because she has glass bones and paper skin. If I was lucky enough for her to get to the third wheel, even more zealots came to attack me. I got utterly destroyed time and time again. I tweaked the strategy slightly. I killed the 2 archers close to the bridge first because they'd often shoot me, which stunned me and left me open to getting brutalized. Then I decided I would kill every zealot on Ashley's upper path. She just wouldn't run from them, so they needed to be dealt with. This helped me focus a bit better on the enemies coming at me. At one point, Ashley got the last platform raised, and as we made a dash for the exit, she got grabbed. I had 2 shots left to free her, and I accidentally shot her. I nearly cried. But just 2 attempts later, the spirit of John Wick decided it had seen enough and took over my body. I blasted every zealot in Ashley's way. I dodged every pathetic axe throw. Dum Dum got the last platform raised, then hopped the rail and bolted out the door right behind me. 71 attempts later, Waterhall is finally done. As we approach the courtyard, Ashley begins acting very strange.
Temperance, child.
Do it! Wait!
Oh, thank God. I'm done babysitting for now. Now that I'm a free man again, things should be easy, right? Right? Well, body armor is available now, so you bet your ass I bought that right away. The wine cellar is next, and would you believe that I beat it in a single try? I know, me either, but I did. Then there's some lore stuff with some lady, but we can just ignore that. The final stretch is the hard part of the chapter, the castle battlements. A lengthy section filled with narrow corridors and a ton of enemies, including the new Keemstar spider.
I'm fast as fuck, boy.
I tried focusing on the spiders primarily. They only take one shot to kill, and if they take over a zealot, they always end up catching up to me and bashing me in the medulla oblongata. Otherwise, this section was a lot of dodging attacks and letting the Beast Titan demolish my enemies whenever possible.
Everything that you thought had meaning, every hope, dream, or moment of happiness, none of it matters as you lie bleeding out on the battlefield. None of it changes what a speeding rock does to a body. We all die.
Slowly but surely, I made it to the cannon, de-brained the giant, blasted open the door, and made one last sprint to the exit. Hey, that's me. And you might be wondering something. Doesn't shooting Gigante with the cannon violate the rules? Yes. Yes, it does. In the moment, I didn't stop to think about trying to run past it without killing him first. I just assumed killing him was necessary. So now I have to redo the entire battlement segment and go for the door at the end without getting smashed to bits. After 5 more tries, I made it back to the cannon. I channeled the spirit of Usain Bolt to take control of my body, then hopped down and held my breath as I sprinted toward freedom. Luckily, that first throw didn't reduce me to raspberry jam, and I managed to escape the battlements without shooting the giant. I find that blonde dumbass and scold her for her insubordination, and as punishment, I make her find her way through a giant hedge maze with some devil dogs. This part actually wasn't bad. The doggies usually go down in one hit, and there are only a few zealots right at the end. So I got through it in one try, backtracked to the treasure I needed dum-dum for, and made it into the Grand Hall. Grand Hall means a new shooting gallery. Except I learned that the level 2 games are still locked until I do level 1, so I can't win any charms. Actually, I can, I just didn't realize it at the time. More on that later. I decided to try my luck at the armory first. I honestly expected it to be the hardest section in the area, but it only took a few tries. There are 7 knights to defeat, and each of them can be taken out with 3 well-placed shots. They're also slow as hell, so it just took a little luck getting the items I needed and placing all 21 shots just right. I made a stop at the merchant, and now I have enough money to purchase the Riot Gun's exclusive upgrade. This new upgrade made the gallery encounter a breeze. The Red Pajama Man stood no chance against my bone-crushing handheld cannon of supreme death. Leon gets bamboozled and whoa. No handguns, Leon. Good boy, Leon. Once Ashley is done taking her sweet-ass time getting me out of this cage, she then gets kidnapped again. Thank you, mysterious discount predator. Living the bachelor life once again, it's time to take an agonizingly long time getting through this chapter by preparing for the dangers ahead. As I mentioned earlier, this is the chapter where I started doing an extensive amount of save reloading to get good items. By extensive, I mean dozens and dozens of save reloads to get one good item drop. I won't tell you over and over again how many times I reset for items, but from this point on, I did it at pretty much every opportunity. Anyway, our to-do list is as follows. Infestation in the ballroom, double Garradors, then Verdugo. So I need to be prepared. I explored the library for items and did some business with the merchant. I can finally buy small resources now, which is a big help. Since I have a surplus of ammo at the moment, I took care of the More Pest Control and Blue Medallions 4 requests. This gave me enough spinels to trade for the Chalice of Atonement and the red attaché case. Red herbs will be far more useful than the excess handgun ammo the default case gives me. Back to business for the time being. The ballroom is infested with human-sized horseflies. So, human flies, I guess. They die to one shot, but there are a ton of them in here. Running past them is not much of an option because the more progress I make, the more Novistadors appear. And they are very good at grabbing you or cheap-shotting you into getting hit 2 or 3 times in a row without being able to defend yourself. After a few uneventful attempts, I thought of a new trick to add to my repertoire. I used save reloading to get 3 bonus ammo crafts for the shotgun. Going forward, I would sometimes do this to get the max ammo I could obtain before going into a section I expected to be difficult. My new strategy was to blast every bug in my way, then I would just loot the room after. After decimating the Earth's insect population, I started save reloading for a while to get some good items, and also backtracked around the castle to look for any pots or crates that I missed. I got a decent haul from the mausoleum, the wine cellar, battlements, and the maze. Between those areas and the ballroom, I reloaded saves 246 times. That's ridiculous. And trust me, it only gets worse from here. Anyway, many hours after actually starting this chapter, I was ready to tackle the double Garrador room. Not actually tackle them, because that would be stupid. I'm gonna let them carve up their buddies, then blast gaping holes in their backs. This strategy was a complete stroke of genius. I'd just make a little noise while some zealots stood between myself and Dollar Store Wolverine, and they'd get sliced up without having to use a single shot. I just had to wait it out until both Garradors were the only thing left. I'd blast them once in the back, then hurry away to be out of range of their ham-slicing fingers. With some patience, both went down like panties on prom night. All that prep I did made this room a breeze. One single attempt was all it took. With that mess cleaned up, I walk in on that freak of nature forcing Ashley into some weird ritual fetish shit. What the actual fuck? No audience allowed, I guess. I'm dropped down a pit to the sewer below. I survive, of course, because I'm Leon S. Kennedy. The S stands for Steel Balls. The Merchant's Corridor and Verdugo's Playroom can't be returned to later, so I thoroughly looted them before continuing. I had absolutely zero intention of fighting Verdugo. I didn't even want to look at that nasty bitch.
I hope you choke on a motherfucking cheese stick, you nasty, greasy bitch.
I have 200,000 pesetas and a fully upgraded shotgun, so I don't need his treasure. Plus, he has the most HP of any enemy in the game, 5,000 more than the optional Iron Maiden boss near the end of the game, and 10,000 more than Sadler. You know, the final boss. He's also the only enemy capable of surviving a rocket launcher blast to the sternum, so I wasn't about to waste my ammo on that. So I ran around the area collecting items while I waited for the elevator to arrive. He got a few good hits on me, but I made it out without a single death. After a brief vision of impending doom, I once again crossed paths with that suave Spanish fella. And he has something he wants to put inside me.
I'll make it cheap for you.
Another shooting range is available, and I had the wrinkliest brained idea of my life. If I start up a level 1 shooting game, but don't actually use the gun, maybe it'll still unlock level 2.
Well done. We'll see you again soon, eh?
It worked. I'm a genius. Now I have a couple shotgun games available. I aced the first one because I'm Leon S. Kennedy. The S stands for Shooting Master. The other one also includes the TMP, which I didn't use, and it seems impossible to perfect it without using both guns, but I got a decent score nonetheless. I got a few tokens, but none of the arrangements for the machine gave me any charms that were beneficial. Womp womp. Anyway, Luis and I are ready to stand on business. After a few unfortunate deaths, I got the dynamite from the nearby storage room and blasted open the path forward. The next fight is Dos Gigantes, and if the first one was any indicator, I'm gonna need as much ammo as I can get. I returned to the dynamite cave and let the Ganados destroy each other, along with Luis lending a hand, so I could just reset to loot the area without any danger. After many more reloads, I got as good of a loadout as I think the game was willing to give me, so I hope this is enough. Killing the normal giant was actually very easy. I could consistently kill him in under 10 shots. According to that Reddit post I referenced earlier, both of these big boys actually have less HP than the first Gigante, so that's super helpful. The difficult part is killing the armored one. Why? Well, he's armored. Did you not hear me say that? But there is one exposed spot on his face that will take damage. And no, I can't shoot the dynamite on his back to break his armor. I did consider it, but it actually damages him, so I have to painfully chip away his health with shots to the face. After 9 long attempts, exhausting nearly every shot I had, I nailed just enough to remove him from this corporeal realm. Hell yeah. The Hive is the last lengthy section, but I got through the entire thing without dying because the Novis are weak enough that Luis can handle them, at least one at a time. I did have to kill a few myself, but that's no big deal. Following an insanely long session of item re-rolling, my man and I take the elevator up to finally get out of this hellhole. I can hear the fresh air calling our names.
Made it all this way. You know it means we're almost...
Huh? No! How dare you! I was just about to make a move on him, and you stab him, you bastard cake? I'm gonna stab you, right in your chili ring.
Kid.
Are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, since I hadn't used it the entire run, I was a bit rusty with using the knife. Rusty with the knife? Remember that terrible joke? Anyway. You can't use a gun in this fight. The game just doesn't let you equip one, so I had to remember how you normally play this game, and I violently ruptured his spleen on a second attempt. Luis, you're alive! Speak to me, my prince.
Adios, turd nuggets.
I plotted my revenge tour as I returned above ground to the castle. Salazar, Krauser, Sadler, they will all die. In that order. I detoured back to the throne room and did the Salazar portrait request. I know it requires throwing an egg, but it's not for combat, so I think it's allowed. Eggs are primarily healing items, not weapons, and it's not like they're in good supply anyway. But this gave me enough spinels to buy 2 gold tokens. With my available charms slightly expanded, I can now get the Ada charm, which gives me 30% off of body armor repairs. That's slightly useful, but I'm going to hold off on committing to it until I unlock the last shooting range and can see my full options. For now, let's go clean out the clock tower. I was pleasantly surprised to find out you can leave the tower at any point before starting the lift and go back outside to save, or even take the gondola back to the castle. So I used this to my advantage. I'd let the statue incinerate as many brain-dead ass cakes as it could, reserving ammo for enemies that managed to avoid 6th degree burns. I then did the same with the giant spiky testicle that rolls down the stairs, letting the ones the zealot dropped completely flatten his brethren. After clearing out a wave of enemies, I'd retreat back outside to save and create a makeshift checkpoint. Once on the lift, my strategy was simple. Eliminate the red zealot leaders as quickly as possible, and then blast any enemies that landed on the lift. You have no choice but to kill a bunch of zealots here, so it was smarter to have them jump on the lift first, that way I could at least get some items from them. I made it through all that mess, and I've arrived at the first stop on my revenge tour. I was unsure if I had the firepower needed to make it through the Salazar fight, so I held tight to my trusty golden egg just in case. Completely unneeded though. I beat that bean-sized bozo's ass in a single try, and it wasn't even difficult. This awning and pillar on the left side of the room is a good camping spot to avoid his projectile puke of Black Death. I just had to be a little patient, and eventually he surrendered his brain privileges. The dull, droning sound of Ada's voice nearly put me to sleep, but at least she was kind enough to Uber me to the nearby island for the final section of the game. Because my item rerolling tactic and combat skills were so dialed in at this point, the next few chapters were some of the easiest parts of the game. The only annoyances being how long it took to reload saves for usable items. But the island is littered with item containers, so I pretty much never ran low on anything. The downside is the island has a lot of points of no return, so I have to make sure to loot all containers in each area before moving to the next. The wharf at the start of the island was easy enough once I strapped on my Adidas and sprinted by everyone I did need to kill. But the real danger awaited further in. I needed a keycard to unlock Ashley's cell, and the only one available was hidden deep in the bowels of the research facility. Acquiring the keycard is simple, but once I have it, the infamous Regenerator makes his presence known with his horrifying asthmatic wheezing. I struggle to keep my guts from falling out of my ass from pure terror as I get the keycard upgraded and then haul ass back to the safe room. The last stop is the incubation lab, where another Regenerator has a wrench lodged deep within his anal cavity. And to no one's surprise, I am his proctologist. I debated for a moment on an idea and then decided what I could do. I purchased the cheap rifle and attached the biosensor scope. I could use the scope to find out which Regenerator had the wrench and memorize the Plaga location so I could kill it quickly with the shotgun. You may disagree with me, but I feel that using the scope is allowed. I'm not using the rifle to progress through the game, I'm using it purely for information. I can kill the Regenerators without the scope, but it would take a lot more trial and error that I have long since run out of patience for. I have over 44 hours in this run at this point, so consider this a quality of life strategy. Besides, if the King Dante Ravioli is allowed to do it, then so am I. It still took 7 attempts, but I got the wrench without wasting a bunch of shots or taking any damage. I defended myself while the keycard upgrades to level 3, do some more looting while Dum Dum continues to rot in that cell, then rescue the little shit and make plans for the next step on getting out of here. With the old ball and chain once again firmly strapped to my ankle, our new objective is to find Luis's lab. But that can wait while the plaga ferments in our bodies just a bit longer. The next shooting range is available, so I used the strat from 3 chapters ago to unlock level 4, and then spend a little time getting the best score I can on the 2 games that use a shotgun. I now have 6 of each token, so I take a sec to check my available charms. The most useful ones would have been the Cute Bear, the Striker, Don Esteban, or the Shield Zealot, but of course I got none of those. The decent charms that I did get were Ada and the Black Bass, which give me discounted body armor repairs and double strength bass heals respectively. Better than nothing, I suppose. There are tons of boxes and barrels near the merchant, so I use them periodically to stay stocked up on ammo as I progress through the cargo depot en route to waste disposal. I destroy the regenerator guarding the switches, and then defend Ashley after transferring power by delivering a few devastating blasts to the faces of the attacking soldiers. Ashley then returns the favor by actually making herself useful and banishing the other regenerator to the pits of Tartarus. Nicely done. The wrecking ball is the only, quote, hard part of the chapter. I tried it the normal way first, just for shits and giggles, but Ashley won't break through the wall until you've killed enough enemies. So I decided to cheese it instead. There is a fairly well-known strategy here, where if you toss a couple heavy grenades at the wall, it will only take 1 bash of the wrecking ball to break through. What I learned though is that 5 shots from a fully powered shotgun does the same thing, so I got through this ordeal pretty quickly. I did try to redo it a few times without taking damage, but I'd lost patience and just moved on. Ashley and I stumble upon a shiny orange boulder before we finally meet the man responsible for our nightmare-induced journey of hallucinogenic terrors, the hooded guide of parasitic genocide, Osmond Sadler.
Welcome, my children.
What the fuck is that?
He tries to use the Imperious curse against Ashley, but she managed to fight back like Harry resisting Voldemort's possession. Then she becomes a total badass by beaning the 2 bedsheet banshees right in the freaking dome. Huh. Maybe I was wrong about you, Ashley. Maybe you're not so bad after all. Perhaps we are better as a team than we are alone. Oh, and she's gone. Well, alright then. The campsite just ahead had a ton of crates and barrels I used to prepare for Krauser. It took a while with all the reloading, but with all that mundane nonsense out of the way, and a loadout so beefy even the devil himself would hide in fear, it's finally time to take on what I expected to be one of the hardest parts of the entire run. Krauser's fight is segmented. I'm not going to waste a shot here when I could just run away instead and lure him out of his hiding spot. Once he comes out of hiding, I put a few pounds of buckshot into his ketchup-smeared face. He runs away, and I crank my hog nice and strong to open up the path forward. Krauser attacks again, but I can be cheesed by running behind this box like a pussy. The traps from here to the bridge are easily dispatched, then I can make the approach towards Krauser with some well-timed sprints. The next fight is probably the most annoying one. I can't parry any attacks, so once he hits me with a series of knife swipes, I pretty much have to take all of them. A quick trigger finger is needed to get him to calm the hell down. It was admittedly a bit sloppy, but nothing I couldn't handle. Krauser, realizing that he has become the underdog in this fight, turns into some sick, twisted version of Edward Elric, morphing his arm into a devastating blade. Krauser almost hacked away my social security number, thanks to my body armor having already been destroyed earlier in the altercation. But despite being more susceptible to damage during the battle, I remained in control for the vast majority of it. I had to keep my distance to avoid a fatal stabbing, and then dodge when prompted. Then when he let his guard down, I'd deliver a well-placed blast to the face. Quicker than I expected, I put the final shot into him that secured me the dub for the fight, and a wave of relief washed over me. I teabagged him for good measure. All that talk about power, just to lie there dying like a little bitch. With all those muscles, it'll be real easy to push up daisies, huh? I need to reach the sanctuary, and the only path to it is through the island stronghold, which means dozens and dozens of soldiers ready to tear me multiple new assholes. The good thing is, I have the most helpful ally in a combat chopper pilot named Mike. The introductory portion can be passed without even lifting a finger. Mike will destroy every bug-brained menace here, leaving my shotgun unfired and my wallet much heavier. Like all the other tough fights before, this one needed to be segmented. Deciding when to save and loot during this whole ordeal was tricky though. There's of course the typewriter before the stronghold, but there's not another one until you get through it and the bulwark? What in the ass is a bulwark? Anyway, that means having to not leave too many crates behind, but not leaving so few that I couldn't stay stocked up on ammo. Reloading a save here means a very long walk back to the crate to try again for items. Mike was more than capable of taking out just about every enemy until the AA gun appears. With Mike preoccupied, we have to take it out ourselves, and there are plenty of turd boys ready to prevent me from doing just that. I got some soldiers to take themselves out, either by turret or Molotov. That leaves a few less of them to slow me down once I reach the upper turret to disable the AA gun. Now, I know you can use an RPG or a few heavy grenades to disable it, but I don't know about the shotgun. At this distance, I doubt the shotgun would do much damage at all, if any. It's also not explosive, so yeah. Plus, with all the soldiers turning my back flesh into hamburger meat, I didn't exactly have time to try it out. But, like the ever studious man I am, I looked to see if anyone beat me to this challenge, and a user by the name of Master KD uses the turret in their shotgun and knives only run. So I did what the game wants me to do and used the turret to disable the AA gun, and I'm not counting it against me. But never fear, as I said, I am a studious man. After finishing up the challenge, I really wanted to know if the AA gun could be disabled with shotguns. So I loaded a different file, got all the way back to the stronghold, and had my maxed out riot gun and cat ears ready to give it a try. I put over 200 shots into the AA gun with nary an ounce of damage visible. So no, you can't disable it with the shotgun. Mystery solved. The inner fortress was tough and each attempt time consuming. There is very little room to work with where I'm not within targeting range of the turrets, or in danger of getting molotoved, or just straight up brutalized in general.
Fuck you! I hope your whole family has a nice Christmas!
I had to work quickly to take out the turret operators, which made the rest of these grease-covered disappointments easier to deal with. I got the 2 switches pulled and hauled heavy ass out of there before my foes had enough time to fill my anal cavity with crossbow bolts. Specimen storage was no trouble, so we have one last barrage of enemies to endure before the sanctuary. I was hoping my rocket launcher wielding friend would take out some of his comrades, but I didn't get very lucky. I took some good hits dealing with the Novistadors and the Brute, but it wasn't so bad that I couldn't get through the first wave of enemies. I made use of the bear traps and laser traps on the slope to make killing everything just a smidge easier. Once they were done, I looted everything in the area in preparation for Wave 2, which was laughably easy. I just lured the soldiers down the hill and painted the surrounding stone structures with their brain matter. I got the laser gun moved and booked it for the sanctuary. I walk in on Sadler performing some more ritual fetish shit on Ashley. I tried to stop him, but an extreme bout of constipation stops me in my tracks. Thanks to some supreme plot convenience, the robotic lady appears and turns Sadler to Swiss cheese, allowing us to escape. Oh, holy crap, Ashley. You're so freaking heavy, and I really need to poop. I finally drag Ashley's carcass to Luis's lab, and we use the convenient machine here to remove our tummy spiders. How lucky are we that this thing exists, eh? One final stop at my buddy's shop to prepare for the final showdown. I saved tons of gunpowder and small resources for exactly this moment. I save reloaded until I got 5 bonus crafts of shotgun shells, giving me enough to supply the entirety of Spain's military with ammo. If 53 shots and 8 full heals won't win me this fight, then I should just quit forever. Let's go, boys. Attempt number 1. Not the best aim, if I'm honest. And I forgot just the sheer number of Novistadors that flood the area. It was difficult to avoid getting hit by them while trying to focus on damaging Sadler, so I took quite a few good hits in the process. I did get him knocked down twice to unload into his main eye, but soon after I got fire hosed and reduced to a demon puke soaked chalk outline. Attempt number 2. Not much better. He destroyed the platforms early in the fight, and I spent too much time focusing on taking out the Novis. Eventually I ran out of ammo and healing items and determined winning was impossible at that point and just reset. Attempt number 3. No more dicking around. I carefully aimed and blew out the eyes of his front legs, then unloaded 4 blasts into his oogly face. I had to ignore the Novis as much as I could and let Sadler take them out for me. In order to do this, I had to tickle his undercarriage and shoot his eyes while the bugs got stomped and sprayed. I got a mud hole stomped in me too, but at least I wasn't wasting ammo. Running away was very effective at getting the Novis dead and out of my way. As Sadler exterminated his own pets, I blasted his eyes one by one, eventually dealing the final blow and sending him tumbling down the cliffside. Burn in hell, you evil crab, snake, demon, motherfucker. Never mind. Stage 2 of the fight is technically timed, but since I'm basically in the clear at this point, I fired every shot I had left into his egghead-looking ass until Adabot tossed me the special launcher. I blew apart the egg sac with the force of 1,000 supernovas, and then used Sadler's own staff to reduce the contents of his cranium to cerebral guacamole. Psst. You have to use the special rocket. You can't switch to another gun, and you get insta-killed if you wait too long. The island has started to blow, so I grabbed Whitey and made a break for it. I died twice during the jet ski escape because apparently it's made out of paper mache, but Dum Dum and I eventually made it out alive. Whew. Mission complete. Except it's not. If you recall, I failed the challenge at one spot, Gigante. Since then, I've learned how to loot and fight more efficiently. I wasn't sure if it was even possible to beat him the first time around, but now I know I can do it. I just have to be meticulous. So with that said, I started another new game. If I can get to and defeat Gigante the right way this time, then in my eyes the challenge will be a success. Can I get enough ammo? Will the terrifying hunchbacked giant survive my onslaught? Find out right now. So I did a bit more research on Gigante. I wanted to know if saving the dog at the start of Chapter 3 actually makes a difference in the fight. I would like to give a huge thank you to a Redditor who goes by the name of Eddie Snakechurch. They provided footage for me of Gigante's HP during the fight with the dog involved. What I was able to tell was that the dog appears when Gigante's health falls somewhere between 10 to 18,000. I think it's closer to 18, and in this instance the game was waiting for the Plaga Burst animation to play out first. But the footage also shows that when the dog bites Gigante's ankle, its HP sets to 10,400. As you can see here, Gigante's health was down to a measly 672 before jumping back up to almost half full following the bite. So what I figured from all of this was that the dog is nothing more than a distraction in this fight. If you're dealing significant damage at a particular moment right before he bites, then Gigante will actually regain health, requiring you to use more ammo. So what did I do? I'm not proud of it, but I left the dog in the bear trap. Yes, I know, I'm a monster. Get all of your hate out in the comments now. But I need the clout, okay? Doggy is an optional ally, and I want to redeem my failure properly and beat Gigante by myself, purely with the shotgun. But this is the only time I've left him behind, I swear. If it makes you feel any better though, the dog is gone if you return to the village chief's manor after you rescue Ashley, so clearly he's fine. I also snapped my own tibia in solidarity to spare him suffering alone. Thank you again, Eddie, your footage was a big help. If you folks at home are interested in seeing it for yourself, I'll link the video in the description below. But anyway, since we've done the first 4 chapters already, I don't need to go into detail on any of it. Give Soups the boot, run from Leatherface, infiltrate the valley, stab the dragonfish, and then pass out from IBS pain. Throughout this second run, I used my item rerolling strategy to its biggest potential. I did a chunk of containers at a time, that way I didn't need to waste my time collecting smaller amounts of ammo. I'd get what I needed for a section and then save some containers for later. It took a long time to prep, but I was finally ready to fight Gigante again, and in infinitely better shape than the first time. I looted so much more efficiently than the first run that I initially was able to avoid the entire lakeside settlement area. And despite having 32 shotgun shells and 6 full heals, I still did not have enough ammo to beat him. I lost. Twice. So I said initially I avoided the lakeside area, but I figured it would be beneficial to explore it. My shotgun is at max power and capacity, but no upgrades to my rate of fire or reload speed was really slowing me down, so a little bit more cash would be super helpful. I putted my way over to Luis's old hideout, grabbed the rhino beetle and gemstone ring, got the small key by the altar, picked up a stack of shotgun shells I missed in the house, then got the hell out of there before the dogs could eat my shitter like an apple fritter. Then I realized I never actually grabbed the treasure I needed the key for and had to go back and get it. I'm really good at this, guys. But during my little detour, I also found enough gunpowder to craft another stack of ammo, giving me a total of 43 shots. With that and my now heavily upgraded W870, it was now or nothing. He completely shattered my spine on more than one occasion, but I finally asserted my dominance. With pinpoint precision, supreme survival skills, and shotgun-induced savagery the likes of which you've never seen, Gigante finally fell and this challenge is officially over. A better player than I probably could have just beat Gigante on the first run with little trouble, but a win is a win, baby. So can you beat Resident Evil 4 Remake on professional with only shotguns? Technically no. I don't count instances of forced weaponry like the minecart, but the AA gun at least lets you try to use something besides the turret, even if it just flat out doesn't take damage from the shotgun. But other than that, yes, you can beat the game with only shotguns. Some people may dislike that my win was split between 2 runs, but does that really matter? I didn't splice together 2 separate runs, I was way more efficient with item collecting in round 2, and I clearly beat the rest of the game. So I think yes, I did successfully beat the challenge today. Here's some quick stats, because that kind of thing is pretty interesting to me. 66 hours of footage was recorded, totaling over 587 gigabytes. RIP my hard drive. 306 saves in the first round alone. For comparison, I had another file with 9 completed rounds that was only at 298 saves. Now for the number of resets. Resets means every mission fail, every death, and every manual save reload across the entire run. Yes, I counted them. And there are way more than I or anyone else would have anticipated. Mission fails only occurred during Ashley's escort chapters, so I only ended up with 26. Deaths, 202. A few were intentional to try and provoke better item drops on respawn, but I couldn't tell if it ever actually worked. But most deaths were due to failure on my part. And finally, save reloading. And this one is a doozy. A whopping 2,575 reloads. 192 were for combat reasons, 291 were for item crafting bonuses, and the remaining 2,092 were from rerolling for item drops. Chapter 14 was the worst of all. 548 resets in that chapter alone, all of which were for item drops. Every mission fail, death, and reload combined for a staggering reset total of 2,803, give or take a couple. Holy balls. As usual, I like to rank the difficulty of my challenges from 1 to 10. I think I can say that Resident Evil 4 Remake on professional, shotguns only, ties Give Me God of War as the hardest challenge to date. I rank it an 8 out of 10. I was initially going to rank it higher because of Gigante and Waterhall. While those 2 fights took more attempts than any other section of the run, or any section of my God of War playthrough, that's where the combat difficulty peaked. Body armor and a maxed out riot gun made every fight bearable. In fact, bosses were some of the easier fights in the run. Mendez took 4 tries, Sadler took 3, Krauser 2, and Salazar only 1. Allowing save scumming kept me from succumbing to pure insanity though. If I had set a rule restricting my number of saves, it would have easily been a 10 out of 10. The challenge pretty much changed from being difficult because of combat to being difficult because of preparation. Fights got easier once I started looting thoroughly. But what did you think of the challenge? Were you impressed by my thoroughness, or embarrassed that there was some other strategy I never thought to try? Did I get some information completely wrong? Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. I think if I attempt another RE4 Remake challenge in the future, I'll be less restrictive with the rules. Gun only, no knife on the hardest difficulty made for one hell of a tedious challenge.
Now the main problem area is up here. All of this going on up here is what's causing me the most physical discomfort. It's like a visceral reaction of discontent coming from this area. This area is not good either. I hate this, but I'm mainly worried about this.
Perhaps I would attempt it on hardcore or just allow knives. We'll see what the future brings. As always, I'll likely upload proof videos to my second channel, Volantis Moon 2. A link to the channel and any proofs will be in the description below, so check them out if you're interested. If you enjoyed the video, click the like button and subscribe to my channel so you see new videos when I put them out. It's completely free and I'm always working on something new. Feel free to suggest challenges in the comments as well. But that does it for today. Thank you all for watching and I'll see you in the next one.